Our number 5 favorite horror franchise is the Aliens franchise. Look, this is a very uneven franchise. Although, you know what? Let me take that back because it's not super uneven for me. Granted, there is a major dip. You have Alien and you have Aliens, which are absolute masterpieces. And it's so crazy. Many people have talked about this before, how different those movies are from Ridley Scott to James Cameron.
They're a little different.
They're a little different. But then you get this valley, right? You have Alien 3, which, you know, I know people defend it and there's a whole story and you know, but it's not a good movie. Like, yes, it's a good story. It's a great story of how that movie got so fucked up. You know, from like William Gibson to Fincher to quitting to all these problems. It is a fascinating story, but it's not a great movie.
Agreed.
You go to Alien Resurrection, pass. Then you go to Alien versus Predator. You have Alien versus Predator 2. You want to talk about dogs, you got some dogs in there. But then it kind of comes back. You get Prometheus, which I don't think people don't like Prometheus. Yeah. I get it. There's some silly, unforgivable moments of characters acting really, really stupidly. So it's hard to take it seriously at
what's
times.
More horror than that?
Right, exactly. You know, like,
why don't we go down into this dark basement all by ourselves? Yeah.
100%. Yeah. What's this goo? Let me get my face closer. You know. So you have Prometheus. Okay, I think Covenant. We'll get to Romulus. I think Covenant is great. I really like Covenant.
I like Covenant as well.
Yeah, the David story is fascinating. You go to this weird world. You get a cool backstory. It's dark. It's bleak. It's depressing in certain ways. It's scary. Like, it's a really good movie. And then Romulus is solid. I don't love it, but I think it's solid. Like, it, you know, you could see Fede Alvarez as a director, you know, we both appreciate. He's made movies we love. He's trying to recapture some magic, but also put it in a new context. It's it's such a laborious franchise at this point. It's a very tough job, but I think he did a capable job. I've never seen the TV show. I've heard wildly mixed things about it, from brilliant to absolute terrible, unwatchable. So I don't know. But I think you have to put that in the franchises, in top franchises, because it hits so many high highs. The first two, I mean, Jesus.
I agree, and I think you'd also be hard pressed to find a monster film that's had more of an effect on creature design in the last 5 decades.
Yeah, I mean, the Geiger stuff. I mean, come on.
Yeah, game changer.
Yeah.
Well, number 4 on our list of favorite horror franchises is Evil Dead. One of the great appeals for me of this franchise is that there aren't too many of them, right? There aren't 12 sequels that dilute my love of the first 2. But, you know, it's the second movie, basically, which is a remake of the first one with better effects and you know, jokey humor that has been, you know, it's not only wonderful to watch and wildly entertaining, but, you know, it's also been wildly influential. You know, jokey, zany horror films are so commonplace now. But it took, you know, I think Sam Raimi and his muse, Bruce Campbell, to show us just how much fun you can have with a chainsaw.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll tell you this, going back to Fede Alvarez, you know, director of Alien Romulus, his Evil Dead remake, I think, is at 5 stars. Like, I absolutely love that movie. I think Evil Dead Rise is okay. The Lee Cronin movie, the most recent installment. We have a new Evil Dead coming out, I believe, this year. We have a Sam Raimi movie coming out.
There's a new
weeks.
one coming. Oh yeah, the new Sam Raimi. I was aware. Yeah.
Yes, and how. But the Alvarez Evil Dead remake, I think is like, it doesn't have the zaniness, but the absolute bloodbath. that movie, literally a bloodbath. It really. You know, I think it's easy to make an Evil Dead movie that, like, you want to try to make zany and goofy and stuff like that. And that's part of it. But another part of it is just the grossness, the gore, the over the topness. And man, foam, just full throttle into it. And I think it is awesome. I love that movie. So that only enriches its placement on this list, which is a slam dunk. Yeah. So our number 3, our top horror franchises, our third pick is the Halloween franchise. This is a tough one because the new trilogy is an embarrassment. The first one was okay. The next two, if we just never spoke about them again, I would be okay. But you go back beyond that, and the first one, the John Carpenter, I think is one of the best American movies made of all time. I think it's an absolute masterpiece of tension, of originality, of creativity, of frights. It has an absolutely iconic killer at the center, Donald Pleasance as Loomis, before they really jumped the shark with Loomis in later installments. Before you get to that point is a wonderful, weird protagonist. Especially, there's a lot of cut footage that there's various versions of Halloween. There's like the TV version, then there's like a director's version. There's all these different weird cut footage that usually is pleasant scenes, and there's some that get added in if you get the comprehensive thing that really make his character even weirder and better. But there's so much that you can say, and we'll limit it down to it is iconic. It is a game changer for horror. Jamie Lee Curtis is the scream queen, legend. She's just an icon. It is a great movie. I can watch it over and over and over. And I'll tell you what, I like it. I like Halloween 2 as well. I like Halloween 2 a lot. I love close setting. I love that they, it's in this hospital. I love that they were just like, fuck it, we're just gonna make the hospital empty. Nobody's here. We have one kid who bit into a razor blade in his apple, and that's it. So I kind of love that they just own that and made it even more creepy, an empty hospital to play in. That was pretty great. And Halloween 3, mileage varies. I know people love it. I think it's fine. But it's a really stellar franchise, and H2O is pretty good. So there are still good installments beyond the original.
It set the standard for stalker slasher flicks and for the creation of everybody after that tried to create their own version of Michael Myers, right? So that's why we have Jason. That's why we have Freddy. That's why we have any dude in a mask. That's why we have Scream, right? Because of the mask,
Yeah.
It's unbelievably influential. And also, just one thing to add on to the original is it's a wonderfully atmospheric film, and atmosphere often gets short shrift in horror films, and you feel that, even though Pasadena does a poor job of standing in for a central Illinois town.
You mean there's no mountains in Illinois?
Hate to break it to you, Mike. I know you don't get out of Chicago much. But yeah, it's got wonderful atmosphere.
Absolutely right. That's really taken for granted. The atmosphere, it feels like Halloween, feels like fall. It is fall. I made it in fall. There's leaves. It just feels like Halloween. It's dark. It's a long night. It's so rich, so great.
Our number 2 favorite horror franchise. We're changing our wording a little bit. Top, best, favorite. Number 2 is George Romero's Dead universe. And our friend of the show, Daniel Kraus, will be wondering how this can be only number 2. But hear us out, Daniel. Wait till you hear what we got for number 1. Night of the Living Dead is undoubtedly one of the greatest horror films of all time. Dawn of the Dead is terrific too. I don't hate on Day of the Dead. Definitely mixed bag after that. But this is one of the greatest and richest horror franchises of all time. And as we just talked about in our review of The Bone Temple, zombie films were basically made for social commentary. They were made for metaphor. Romero, well, as you noted, Mike, he did not certainly create the zombie film in any way. He created the modern zombie film.
Yep.
And he was the one who imbued it with meaning. Go back and watch the original one if you haven't. If you haven't seen it in a while, rewatch it, listeners. It's striking. It is such an unbelievable watching experience. It feels raw and visceral. It hits home on so many levels. It is a masterwork, and, with its perfectly pitched social commentary, it was way ahead of its time.
Yeah, and unfortunately still salient today. There's a moment in Bone Temple, I won't say, there's a character who's talking about world history and talks about post-World War II, and he's like, yeah, and well, the good news is, and now remember, in the 28 franchise, the world kind of ended in 2002. So he's like, we got rid of stuff like isolationism and nationalism, and I was like, hold on.
Hold my cranium full of brains.
Exactly. So our number one, our top best favorite horror franchise, and you can feel my influence in this pick, is the Universal Monsters franchise. Granted, I do have I'm extremely partial to this because I love these movies, but it is the OG horror franchise. I mean, not only were these the original monster movies, Frankenstein, Dracula, Invisible Man, Wolfman, etc., but they were a universe. They crossed over. They met each other constantly. They threw comedians in there, but it is these movies created the idea that's not quite. There is a sort of continuing storyline in that, and like where are they going to find, what rubble are they going to find Frankenstein under this time, and who's going to be playing him? But like, it's not in the sense of like a continuing story or anything like that. But some of these movies franchises don't have a continuing story anyway, and if it is a continuing story, like an Alien, what is the story? We don't know. So it has a whole idea of like, we're gonna have monsters and they exist in this world, and the movies themselves are to me some of the best of all time. Like, yes, you have your seminal, groundbreaking movies of the originals, but I think it might be taken for granted a little bit that some of the sequels are really, really good. Like the second Frankenstein is this gothic hellscape that is so good. So good. The second and the third, Dracula, what is it? Dracula's Daughter is the second one, or Daughter of Dracula, whatever it is. I'm sorry, I'm muffing it, but that's also really, really good. It's either second or third Invisible Man. The point being is that the movies went on probably for too long. I joke, but once you got Abbott and Costello, although some of the Abbott Costellos are not bad, but once you got into there, you've kind of gotten to jump the shark territory, and the franchise went on, I don't want to say for too long, but because it's so ahead of its time, they didn't know how to make a cohesive universe, because the idea of a cohesive universe and a continuing storyline didn't really exist. So they were just kind of, at this time, Lemley's just throwing stuff at the wall and being like, go make me a Wolfman picture.
He's throwing things at the wall and hiring his relatives. They didn't have the idea for the UCU.
No, they didn't. They didn't. And you know what? And once somebody did have the idea for, maybe it's for the best, because somebody did have an idea for it, and we got Tom Cruise's The Mummy.
Oh.
So maybe it's for the best that they didn't have that forward thinking. The originals are all masterpieces, essential horror, essential cinematic gems, and some of the sequels are also really, really good. Like I said, they just went on for probably a little bit too long without like having a direction or knowing how to reinvigorate the franchise and put it away and then come back. So it does suffer from that, but like, on the whole, you look at those movies and there are a lot of bangers in that, and they are movies that set the course for the rest of horror cinema history.
Idea for a future top 5, Mike. Top 5 Universal horror films.
Oh man, it's like picking which kid is my favorite.
You can do it.
I like the movies better.